Hi stamping friends, Melissa Kerman here with Melissa's Crafting Treehouse. Today's project was created for the September 2019 ColorFusers Blog Hop and Color Challenge. I'll be featuring the Christmas Gleaming bundle, which includes a stamp set and pair of punches. So for this project I did some heat embossing on these three colors. So I'm starting with my embossing buddy, which is an anti-static to make sure that the embossing powder doesn't stick where it doesn't belong. And I'm inking up my images one at a time with Versamark ink, which is a clear sticky ink. The embossing powder will stick to that ink and allow it to stay there while I do the heat embossing. So now I am stamping near the bottom of my piece of cardstock because the punch will need to be put in from the bottom up, and if I put it at the top I won't be able to reach the image. So I'm using copper embossing powder, which coordinates with the designer paper that I'm going to be using, which has copper elements in it. So one at a time I'm putting the powder over the top of those stamped images, and the embossing powder is sticking to those images, and I'm just tapping off the excess, and I'll make sure that there's no extra little specks there and abouts before I do my heat embossing. And now one at a time I'm going to heat emboss each of these, and you'll see it fairly quickly start changing from a dusty powder to a shiny copper raised image. Now I'm finishing up with the last bit of my heat embossing on that third ornament, and then I'll go ahead and punch each one of them out using the punch, just sliding the paper in. Now these are beautiful just the way they are, and I could use them as is, but I've decided to use some of my Stampin' Up markers to color on these ornaments to give them some added dimension and interest. So I'm going to be pulling in my Merry Merlot, Mossy Meadow, and Night of Navy markers and do some coloring on select spots on each of these ornaments. So for my Merry Merlot ornament, I have colored in the top element of that, the top of the bulb, if you will, and then I'm just going to color the little diamond shapes, all the little tiny diamond shapes throughout the ornament, and then leave the rest without coloring. For the Mossy Meadow ornament, I colored the whole thing, the top and then all through the bottom. It's just a really pretty, interesting set of shapes, but there is no pattern to it. So in the end, it just made sense to color the whole thing. On this last ornament, this is the Night of Navy ornament, again colored the top, and then really just a few little spots were colored on this ornament just to kind of accent it and make it look interesting. Last but not least, I came in with my Wink of Stella, which is sort of a paintbrush with a little bit of shimmer in it, and I'm just going to color the top little element of the bulb sort of to make it look like it's that sort of metal portion of the bulb at the top, give it a little bit of shine. Next, I'm going to be dry embossing my Rococo Rose piece of cardstock, which will be the background to the ornaments, and I'm using the Stylish Scroll embossing folder. This is a new embossing folder in the holiday catalog. I just think it's so pretty. It's actually on the page with the Halloween suite, the Monster Bash suite, which of course it goes really well with, but it's so elegant and beautiful. I think it goes with all kinds of things. And I think it goes beautifully with these ornaments, and I hope you do too. So I've done most of the work or finer details of the pieces of this card. Now I'm going to put some of the pieces together, starting with putting my Night of Navy cardstock panel onto my Mossy Meadow card base. And next I'm going to take my Brightly Gleaming Designer Series paper, the one with the copper stars, and I'm going to attach that to my Night of Navy piece on my card body. Now I've got a very thin little edge on the designer paper, so the Night of Navy is backing it, but it's really just about a 1/16 of an inch around the outside. Next I'm going to attach my dry embossed Rococo Rose cardstock piece onto its Merry Merlot backing. I've attached my Merry Merlot piece of cardstock with Stampin' Dimensionals. And then I'm just going to lay out my ornaments the way I want them, and I've got one more piece to die cut, and then we'll be done. Next, I'm going to use my Magnolia Memories dies. I'm going to use that die to create sort of a valance that will be at the top of my focal piece above the ornaments. So I'm just running it through the big shot and then going ahead and attaching the valance at the top of my focal piece. And now I've got my ornaments laid out pretty much where I want them to be. So one at a time, I'm just going to take them off and attach them. I'd love to know what you think of my card and my non-traditional color scheme for my Christmas card. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Plus, make sure to go on over to my blog and check out the rest of the Color Fusers blog hop. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. To learn more about what I create and offer, check out the description below this video for lots of information and useful resources. Thanks for joining me today, and happy crafting!